Alrighty, and welcome back. So at this point you should know all of the basics of how to use Movie Captioner and Premiere. And what I'm going to introduce you to is an alternative method to create these captions. So let me go first through the cons and the pros, so then you can maybe get an idea if this is something that you want to try. The pros is it's a lot more time accurate, because with the old method sometimes you have a word that appears, gets cut off from that 2-second or that 3-second interval. So you had a word that gets split, and so it either comes in early or it comes in late. Sometimes, you've got sections where you have this group that have this list, and you have to split up the list. So the nice thing about this is that you can group similar things together. You can switch between the captions at natural points, and you also don't have to literally type all of the captions in, especially if you've done a couple of videos already, especially the longer ones. The ones that I had to do were 25 minutes to almost an hour and 10 minutes long. And that is a lot of typing, and it can be very tiring. So this method skips all of the typing, and so that way it's less work on your part. Some of the cons, though, is this adds a lot more steps to the process. So sometimes the steps are simpler, but you do add in some extra steps, and sometimes you just want to do it the easy way, the more direct way. This does going to take a little bit more technical knowledge, so if you are going to do this, make sure you've at least captioned a couple of videos the first way I showed you, the conventional way, before you try this alternate method, because there are more steps and you really kind of have to understand how Movie Captioner works to kind of understand everything that we're doing. So the basic idea for this alternative method is, instead of us typing out all of the words, we're going to upload the audio to a website, have a computer listen to the audio, transcribe it the best we can. We'll go through it, we'll proofread it, then we'll load it into Movie Captioner and timestamp it, and then we'll load it into Premiere. So there's a lot more steps, but as I said, there's less work on you, but there are more steps. So let's get started on that. The very first thing you're going to have to do is you need to pull just the audio from whatever video you're going to do, and we're going to go to Encoder. We can go there directly. This is the same program that we use to export our videos. And we are going to convert our video, which right now is an MP4, so it has video and audio, and we're going to convert it to an MP3 that only has audio. The reason we're going to do this is because it's going to be a lot faster to upload, and the specific site that I'm using charges more to do videos. So we are now here. Here's our queue. There's nothing in it. We're going to go up here to the plus, and you're going to go find the video that you want to do. I'm going to go back here. So I have a second demo to show you how it's going to work for our second alternative method. So there is my raw video. We're going to open it. And then we're going to click here. And we want to change the format to an MP3. I already did a sample one, so it already has the presets from there. And if you notice, you have the export video, export audio. Only the audio is selected. Stereo, fast, those are all good. Make sure it's saved in the same folder, which it is. You can rename it if you want, or you can just read the tag that will tell you what kind it is too. And then you're going to hit OK. Come up here to our little play. And then it will cue it, and since it is just stripping the audio, it tends to do that pretty fast. Now we're going to need to go to a web browser. I'm using Safari, and we are going to go to voicebase.com. There are a lot of other websites, I'm sure, that provide this service. This is the one that I found that I like, and we're going to sign in. And you can set up a free account. I already have my everything logged in here. So, and when you first sign in, they do charge you for the service, but they give you, I think, $60 of free credits, and I've been able to do all of these videos on that. So, and what you're going to do is you're going to go to upload. Let's make sure this is done. This is done. You can tell it's done because it has a little check mark. We're going to go to upload, and you can upload multiple files at a time if you desire. We're going to go back to documents. We're going to go to my demo 2, and see, I've got my MP3. And it's only the audio because that's really the only thing we need. And we're going to hit Start Queue. And then you can rename it if you want. I like the name. I'm going to hit Save. And then it is going to upload. If you want to upload another file, you can do that. And then you go to My Account. Now, this does take, oops, not My Account, Home. Let me just go back. Come on. Alrighty. So it'd be Home, My Content, all of my files. So that's where you'd want to go, is go up here to My Content. And it takes a little bit of time to process because it's running it through the computer. So I already have one that is done already. So if I click on that, I uploaded this one earlier, and this is kind of cool. It tells you how often a certain word was said. So, and it also tells you when it was said in the video. This is more for analyzing the video if you wanted to do that. And what we're going to do now is we're going to caption all of this text. So this is the computer's conversion of everything that our instructor, Chris, has been saying. It's not going to be perfect, which is why we need to edit it. So we're going to copy it and we're going to load it into some sort of a word processing. I'm going to go to Word. Word is on here, depending on what kind you're using, depends on the processor. We're going to open that. I'm going to minimize this and close this. I don't need these anymore. And then the second thing we need is we need to have some way that we can listen to the audio to make sure that it is actually correct. So instead of us typing out the text, we're now proofreading to make sure the computer got it right. So I'm going to open up the MP4, close this. And the reason I do this instead of just listening to the audio in iTunes or something like that is sometimes when he's talking, he's using some specific vocabulary, and sometimes he's got a PowerPoint and the words spelled up there. So that sometimes can be helpful to use the audio. So this is open. We also have our Word processor open, Microsoft Word, and we're going to create a blank document. So double click that. Alright, this is blank. We are going to copy and paste this in here. So this is all the text, and now we got to make sure that we save it. Again, we are saving it in the same folder that the rest of the videos are saved in. That is the wrong one. We're going to go to Documents, Demo 2, save it in there, and I'm going to save this Welcome Text. So we've got this, and we do know that the first thing that he says is going to be music. And sometimes with the music, the computer guesses and you end up with some weird stuff. I'm going to put it in parentheses because I know I'm going to be replacing it with the music symbol later. And now we can play. If you have a keyboard that has a play option, that is wonderful. Use that, otherwise I have to keep going back and forth to click. I'm going to jump ahead a little bit because I know the first about 20 seconds are just music for the introduction, and then I'm going to hit play and I'm going to listen to what he is going to be saying.
Welcome to Human Anatomy number 1.
Okay, so I'm going to stop it because the video starts with all of these words that it probably picked up from the music. So I'm just going to delete those. Welcome to Human Anatomy number 1. That's good. And I'm going to make that one caption. So in order to do that, I'm going to hit enter, and it's going to be its own separate line, just like this is its own separate line. When you import these into Movie Captioner, each one of those will become its own separate caption. And so we've got, instead of having, I think before this was broken up into 3 captions, we have it separated into one nice little caption. So then when you're ready, hit play and you listen to the next part. If you need to go back a little bit, if you have a side scroller, you can just drag it back a few seconds and then hit play and listen to what he says next.
To Human Anatomy number 1. I'm Chris Haynes, your instructor for this course.
Alright, so you can see we have some changes there. So we got to do, so we're going to do I'm, and we have his name, Haynes. I need to look up his name. I'm Chris Haynes, comma, you do need to add your own punctuation. Your instructor for this course. And then I'm going to make this its own caption because it's its own sentence, its own thought. Usually as far as a caption, you don't want to have anything that goes further than the page because then you're going to have a lot of text on the screen and it's going to make it a little bit more difficult. So I'm going to drag it back a little bit and keep listening.
For this course, and you are going to be watching some recorded lectures of mine and working on lots of assignments.
So that one was pretty good. So I'm going to add a space here because that looked like a good place to pause. And working on lots of assignments. Let me go back.
Some recorded lectures of mine and working on lots of assignments. Teaching here.
So that looks like a good space there. Now I'm going to add a little gap here because we had a gap of when he was talking about working on assignments, and then I've been teaching here for a year. So I'm going to add a gap, but if I just add a gap when I export it later, it's not going to recognize that. So I'm as a caption. So I'm going to add a little period because I want it to recognize as a caption. And we could go through the whole thing and proofread it, but for the sake of time, I'm going to delete this and we're going to work on the next step. So make sure it's saved, and then you need to do a save as, because we need to save this as a plain text file in order to import it into Captioner. Let me hit save. And then you have several settings here. You want to go to Other Encoder, and you want to go to Unicode 8. Because otherwise, if you have any special symbols, such as apostrophes, it won't recognize those when you import them into Movie Captioner, and it will not show the caption. You've got to go through and replace it. It's a hassle. So make sure you save it this way. Unicode 8. That's what I'm thinking about. Hit OK, and then it's going to save it. So we can minimize that, minimize this, and we're going to go to our Movie Captioner. Again, we don't see a blank program. That's okay. We're going to come up here to Movie Captioner and select a new project. So we're going to do the same thing as before. We're going to go get our video here. We do want the video because we do want to see what's going on. It is going to ask us to save it. So save it in the exact same folder. So we've got our video, and instead of us typing all the captions here, what we're going to do is go to Import, and we're going to go text in line format because we were already breaking it out per line for the video. So we're going to go get that text file I was telling you about. It won't read the Word file. You can see how it's grayed out. We want the welcome text, and it's just going to give us the raw text. We're going to hit open, and it's going to automatically give us the text that we need. Now, I already know that the music, I want to replace that with my music symbol. Alrighty, and something else that you might notice is that none of these have any time attached to it. We have to add the time stamping ourselves. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to use the set time code in order to do that. Now, you'll notice here caption will expire after 10 seconds. What that means is after 10 seconds of nothing, you're not hitting enter, it's going to just add a blank caption. We don't want to do that because sometimes you might have a caption that lasts more than 10 seconds. So if you want to play around with that, I've never had any luck. I've always had it inserting captions where I don't want there to be any blank captions, but if you want to play with it, you're welcome to. So I'm just going to set it for 1,000 seconds because there's no way we're going to have 1,000 seconds pass and nothing happens. So now what we're going to do, we're going to select the first one. I'm going to turn up the audio so that way you can hear it. It's going to be pretty loud. And we're going to hit set time code. So as soon as I hit it, it is going to be set the time code for this first caption, and then the next caption is going to turn blue, and you need to hit enter when the beginning of the caption starts. So when he says welcome or starts to make that wah sound, you need to hit enter because that's when that caption is going to come in. You're doing the start time for each one of these captions. You don't need to worry about the exit time, just worry about the entrance time. So we're going to hit time. Again, we're going to have this going on for about 17 seconds. So that's how long we'll have the music sound going for. And then
welcome to Human Anatomy number 1. I'm Chris Haynes, your instructor for this course.
And so every time he says the word at the beginning,
some recorded lectures of mine and working on lots of assignments.
You want to hit enter.
Teaching here for a year.
So let's say that I think I made a mistake because right here I think that I hit it a little bit slow. So I want to recaption that. Or you make a mistake because sometimes, he's going and somehow you miss the cue. Don't panic, you don't need to do it all your first time through. So what you're going to do is you're going to go back one caption. Go back one caption. I'm going to go up here a little bit. So go back. So if I want to change number 4, let's say, I'm going to hit set time code. If I do that, it's not going to make any changes to number 3. It's going to start playing 3, but it's not going to make any changes to 3.
Chris Haynes, your instructor for this course, and you are going to be watching some recorded lectures of mine and working on lots of assignments. Been teaching here for a year.
And then when you get done to the end of all of the captions, it will stop. So again, if for some reason you need to edit like I did here, just come here, hit time code,
Teaching here for a year.
and then you can re-stamp the time on that particular caption. You can also, if you want to listen to one, you hit it and hit start.
Teaching here for a year.
And so you can hear exactly when that caption goes. And you can also edit the time here. So if I want it to, instead of start at 79, if I wanted to start at 69, I can do that. It changes the time.
Teaching here for a year.
And then I can preview to make sure that it actually starts where I want it to. Most of the time, if you make sure you're hitting that first word, you'll be good to go. So once you have all of your captions time stamped, what you need to do is any of these blank captions, you need to delete that period, because otherwise it will show a caption with a little period, and we don't want that. We don't want it to show anything. So you need to go through, delete those. Premiere will recognize those as blank spaces, so that will be fine. Make sure that you save. And then we're going to export the exact same way we did before. So now the alternative method is running into the traditional method, or the first method that I taught you. Going to go export, select that file, and again we're going to save it in here, the exact same spot, hit save, and then we're going to go open up Premiere, double click that. So, and from here on out, the process is going to be the same. You're still going to load the captions in the same way. You're still going to make sure that all the settings are right. You're going to be expanding the track so you can see all of those captions. So again, I would still go through and proofread, because, as I said, I always catch mistakes. And then I also want to be sure that the timing is correct, especially if you're working on longer videos. Toward the end, the captions tend to gradually and slowly get off just a little bit, and by the time you take that little bit and compact it for half an hour, 1 hour, it gets off quite a bit. So I always go through and check it. If you don't want to go through all that, if you're pretty confident in what you've got going, at least go back to some of the end ones, make sure that the timing is correct, because again, if it's a longer video, sometimes they're off by a full second, and we don't want that. Alrighty, so since we've already have our demo made, I showed you how to make a new project, but we can go ahead and open up that old one. Wait for that to load up. We have our old file in here, our old bin, and if you hit this little triangle right here, it will collapse that bin so you don't see all of the content anymore that's in that bin. If you want to see the content, you click on that and it will show you. All the files are still there, they're just invisible right now because we don't want to see them. We're not messing with that one. So I'm going to make a new folder. Again, it's important to make sure you're well organized, and I'm going to name this one 2. This is the second one we're going to do, and I'm going to import. Now something else that you can do, which is cool, if you double click this bin, it will show you just the bin, and then you can you can import directly into that bin by double clicking or by doing a right click and hitting import. So we're going to go to BioClass Demo 2. Again, we want the raw video, we don't want the audio, we want the video, and then we also want this caption text. We're going to import both of those. And again, we need to be sure that we make a new sequence. So you do a right click, go new sequence from clip, and our new sequence is down here, and you can go back and forth between them. Now I'm going to name this new sequence 2, that way we don't get confused. So here is our old one, here is our new one, and again we're going to take our captions and we're going to drag them down here. And then I'm going to exit this. Exiting this does not delete anything, it just makes it invisible. We still have the bin right here. If I want to collapse this bin and not see everything, I just hit that little triangle and it collapses. I hit it again and it opens. So again, we can still see our captioning there, and I am going to expand the tracks. That way you can see the individual captions. And again, if you want to zoom in, you drag that. And as you can see, if you're kind of comparing the two, each one of these is the exact same length. These ones aren't the same length. And I can make sure that the welcome starts right on the welcome. I might want to move it back a little bit. So I'm going to make sure there's room, and I'm going to drag it. The nice thing is if you put your cursor right where you want the caption to start, and you drag, it will automatically line that up for you. And then, so I've got my different lengths.
Some recorded lectures of mine and working on lots of assignments.
And you see we've got this blank space here. We don't want anything showing up there. That's where we had that period that we deleted. And if you look over here, it doesn't even show it up on here. It recognizes that, okay, this one, and working on lots of assignments clip, that it's going to exit at 30 seconds, and this one's going to enter at 31/19ths of a second. So it already recognizes those gaps and those spaces because Premiere does work with the in time and the out time, which is something that you can work with and manipulate. So let's start from here and watch the video.
Welcome to Human Anatomy number 1. I'm Chris Haynes, your instructor for this course, and you are going to be watching some recorded lectures of mine and working on lots of assignments. Been teaching here for a year.
And then you can keep watching the rest of the video. So again, this way has more steps. I like this way because I think that it is more accurate and less work on my part. Instead of me typing everything out, the computer's typing everything out, and then I'm just proofreading. Instead, it does end up adding some extra steps. You end up watching the video like 3 times when you're proofreading it, and then when you're time stamping it, and then when you're double checking in Premiere, making sure that all the captions are lined up. So you can choose which way you want to do it. Either way is fine. Again, this way, make sure that you understand captioning or you're very good with computers. If you're a bit of a novice with computers, don't do this because there's a lot of little steps that you could possibly mess up on and get yourself really confused. So